take 11,200.
So we just recorded. Good thing we didn't get too deep into our very first podcast and realize that we weren't recording. So here we are again. Good thing we can make it over. We can start fresh.
There we go.
I felt a little discombobulated on the first round.
Well, this is our, 15th, 16th take of a podcast?
Yep. Just like a business.
And we're finally ready to go.
Pivoted. And what we're going to bring to you is the real life, up to our necks. What's the word we're looking for?
Shit.
Everybody wants to be a founder. Everybody thinks the CEO terminology is cool. And at the end of the day, not many people really dig into what it really is like to be in the trenches. Obviously, we're hoping at the end of this journey that we are on this stage and all this stuff is forgotten. But right now, man, we are in the thick of what it's like to create a team, create a product, dibble-dabble in thinking about marketing a product.
Yeah, bring it to market. So why don't we tell our audience who we are, why we're doing this, what our backgrounds are, so they kind of...
Good idea.
They maybe stick around for a little bit.
Good idea. So, as Drew mentioned, I've done a few businesses in the past. I graduated from UCF. I have a master's degree in exercise physiology, and that is actually how I met my wife. I was her personal trainer. And we went on to open a gym and... train a lot of people in Winter Park. We're in Winter Park, Florida. And train a lot of people and a lot of affluent, good connection people. And I realized, though, after about 5 years of being into that I was building myself and I wasn't really building something I could sell. And I realized that my exit strategy was null. There wasn't an exit strategy. So from there, I jumped into some other entrepreneurial things. Ended up... I didn't birth them, but ended up having 2 children. They are now 13 and 12. And so we are in the thick of tween. And we opened a few businesses during these little girls being raised. But now, 2 years ago, started Trusttheherd. And so the goal behind this podcast is to really give you guys the blunt truth of what it's like to balance a tech startup, tweens, a wife, and everything else in life. And that's what we're going to do with this. So I've been, throughout the podcast, we'll go over kind of what we've gone through with Trusttheherd, but more importantly, like what we're dealing with right now. Drew, tell us a little bit about what you got going on, or what you've had going on in your life.
Sure. I mean, like I'm passionate about being an entrepreneur. I've kind of been the same way. I started my career off with a job, like most people do, earning an X amount. Had some fun jobs. I got to work in sports, got to work in entertainment, got to work in music. All great and dandy, but in the day, I really didn't create the kind of life for myself I've always wanted to. Jumped into real estate about 10 years ago. Still doing that. Still a business in real estate. But again, I always believe in creating different businesses as a way of building the life you want to live. With that being said, I jumped on the boat with you in this project because I feel like it's right up our alley of having a big accomplishment. So, but yeah, I'm married, got a kid. He's now 7 months
Little
old.
tyke, 7 months old.
So I'm balancing that. So ideally, we're not balancing 2 companies, a kid, a wife, a social life, I guess, if you want to call it that. And everything else I do that I'm involved in. From my volunteer stuff to family back in New York and all that fun stuff that comes along with being an adult.
Cool. So, how are we going to, what are we thinking here? How are we going to keep these people's attention?
Well, one, we're going to get better at this, right? So, obviously,
Agreed.
This is the first episode, so you guys are watching this podcast right now thinking, what are these 2 idiots doing on here, and why am I listening
You're
to this
exactly
crap?
right, but it's going to get better.
It's going to get better. We're going to get better at it, and we're going to give you the real deal. And we are going through the experience of creating a business. Forget tech and all that stuff right now. We're creating a business. We're bringing it to market. We are doing it, and we're going to hopefully share those lessons with you. So if you're in that position right now where you sit on your couch or you have a job and you're trying to figure out what do you want to do with the next 10 years of your life, or you want to start a business, no matter what it is, whether you want to do Amazon drop shipping or you want to...
You might want to drop ship some essential oils or
go out there and compete
fidget spinners.
You want to open a restaurant. You want to go out there and compete with Mark Zuckerberg with the next social media platform. I don't care. Point is, listen to us because we're going to talk about all the lessons we are learning along the way. And we are actually farther along in this journey than most people might think we are. Why don't you tell them how far we are?
Well, throughout these podcasts, we'll probably go back in the journey a little bit. But yeah, this journey is the full blown. It is what you would call a startup. It's there's a napkin and there's an idea on that napkin, and then you take that napkin and you figure out a way to slowly bring that to fruition. And it involves figuring out money and management and teams and all these good things. And so I started on that journey pretty much by myself 2 years ago, and thinking that my creative mind would allow me to explain to an Indian development team exactly what I wanted, and that within about 6 weeks we'd have this thing thrown together and we'd bring it to market and we'd be jamming. Wrong.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago.
That was 2 years ago. I learned about a year after, I would say, being fairly aggressive with my Indians, that I realized that they would say yes to everything, which is great, and I respected them, and they wouldn't steer me in the wrong direction. But that yes never really explained how long something was going to take. And so they would shake their head yes, and I would ask them to do something, and I didn't realize that was going to switch 10 things that we did prior to that. And this is all with the development side of it. So that's all we've been grinding out for 2 years, is how to make this thing user friendly, how to make it, the functionality of it, as easy as somebody at the zoo can do.
Some of the questions they're going to ask you is, what is it? What are we selling? What is ServiceHerd? Tell us about it.
ServiceHerd, your modern day Yellow Pages. So Google's slightly cluttered, and other lead generation companies are slightly non-transparent or very non-transparent. And that good old Yellow Pages, well, that's been off the market now for about a year and out of print for a couple years. And so we have brought to the table the true way to connect instantly and directly with service providers that you need, whether it be a tutor, a plumber, a mechanic. It's all about your time during the day, and how can we conveniently help you eliminate waiting around for things, the troublesome of finding somebody to do something for you. So ServiceHerd allows you to quickly connect with those people, and our goal is to create a fun community around the fact of a directory, which isn't very exciting most of the time. But if we can keep this community fun and keep you engaged until your toilet blows up or your dog jumps in the mud or your kid brings home an F and you need a service provider or a provider of some sort, we want to be the one you look to when that happens. And in the meantime, we're going to keep you totally engaged. ServiceHerd, your modern day Yellow Pages. And as we go through this, you will learn more and more about this, and hopefully you'll help us to create a platform which is something that you would like to use on a daily basis. A platform that you can take all those other apps that you have and really consolidate them into ours, into one.
Oh, there you go. So another reason to listen to us is we're actually going to what? Are we going to crowdsource or crowd build this app?
We're going to crowd feedback.
Yeah. So we're going to ask you.
And we're going to listen. And we're going to actually show you when you ask us to do something and it makes sense. We're going to come back and show you the next day that it's been done, or the next 2 days or whatever it takes. But we're proactive, and we want you guys to be proactive with us when it comes to feedback, and good, bad, or otherwise. Stay involved with us.
Yeah. I mean, you created ServiceHerd because you felt there was a need in the market that consumers who wanted service providers weren't getting what they wanted. Correct?
Agree.
So that's the reason why
ServiceHerd was. Yep. And then I've furthered that to say, you know what? I think that this world is a little bit rough right now, and maybe we should bring a fun atmosphere, a fun, enlightening kind of way to the public a little bit. I mean, there are some other lead generation companies. There are things that work out there. But to be honest with you, I found them to be very boring, and I found them to be not a lot of fun. And I think there's a way that we can engage with people and have a lot of fun with Herd Perks and maybe some charity giveaways and our podcast and Instagram and TikToks, and just keeping it real. Trying not to embarrass my kids too much. We got a wrapped vehicle. Not allowed to go through carpool yet. Soon though.
So tell us about the moment that ServiceHerd popped in your head. What was the aha moment? What were you doing? When did it happen?
I'm a big fan of wearing board shorts. So I was in the backyard in flip-flops and board shorts, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking up at the sky and I'm thinking to myself, how can we connect consumers and providers in a more seamless way? And I look up and I see this flock of birds flying by, and I'm like, holy moly! Like they're like seamlessly, they protect each other. They trust each other. Like they're like, it's amazing how they fly like that. Maybe I could call it the flock. And I was like, flock doesn't work. And then I thought to myself, how about this? Cows. They're non-confrontational. It's very rare that anybody doesn't like a cow. A herd, they look out for each other. How about service herd? How about trust the herd? Why don't we bring a trustworthy platform to the public in which not only do we bring providers, but also we allow the herd, our users, to refer their trustworthy providers so that we create a community of trustworthy providers. And that's how it all took place. Is like, hey, service herd, trust the herd. Let's use the community. Let's use the herd to help us bring trustworthy providers to the platform.
So here's a question we're going to ask you. So obviously we want to help our audience learn, right?
Yes.
So how long did it take you from coming up with that day you were out in board shorts, that you thought of the idea of service herd, to actually going out there and doing something about it?
I spent 3 nights.
It's rather quick.
Working all night
Okay.
until about 5 in the morning with India, trying to explain the concept, trying to explain what we wanted.
This was immediately after.
This was immediately after that. Yeah,
So
we
you
dug
didn't,
in.
You didn't wait 2 months or a year.
I didn't wait. I didn't wait more than probably about 7 minutes. About 7 minutes into it, I connected with some Indians that I'd used in the past, and I said, "Here's the idea. Let's dig in." And we took about 3 days to explain the concept of what we were going to do, and then I realized about day 4 that I needed to go to India. So I jumped online. I jumped on a plane, and 3 days later, I flew out to India, and I lived in the office for about a month.
What was that like?
Rustic. We
Huh?
were not in tech India land. We were in
The hood?
northern village land where there's lots of, it's very poor. I was the only white person that I think ever stepped foot in the villages that I was.
So they must have loved you, though.
They loved lots of selfies. I felt like Brad Pitt for a day.
There you go.
Felt like
you said you were.
yeah, I actually said I was. It was great. I dug in and I immersed myself in the culture. Not only once but twice. I came home and said hi to my family, and then decided to fly back out 10 days later and do it again. And at the end of the day, the experience was absolutely amazing. I don't recommend that if you're getting involved in a startup that you jump on a plane and fly to India to meet your team. Most everything you do can be done right here at this table.
Yep.
Now, is it great to immerse yourself and really? Yeah. And did I sit in their laps and learn how inefficient they were? Yeah. And did I actually teach them some stuff? Everything from like eating vegetables and drinking coffee to firing friends. We realized that we had a whole team of 10 guys over there that one of them was doing stuff, and 10 of them or 9 of them were taking a day to do a task that should take 10 minutes. So immerse yourself with passion in your product. I don't necessarily say that you have to jump on a plane and go to India and do what I did. But if you want to, it's a great way to experience a different life.
So going back to how this whole question here. So basically what we're saying is, don't wait around. Don't sit around with your idea. It's not magically going to happen. You got to get off your couch and go and do it, right?
Totally. I mean, you got to find out right away, is it worth the shit? I mean, is it worth the shit? And to be honest with you, we're still finding out if ours is worth a shit.
Yeah.
I mean, to this day, right now to this day, we have a product right now that we can start marketing. And at the end of the day, our MVP took 2 years. But this is more than a minimal viable product now, which a minimal viable product, if anybody would like to know, it's a way to take that napkin and how quickly can you create a minimal, viable, livable, slightly livable, like respirator livable product that allows the public to test it and tell you, is it worth a shit or not? It's very hard when you start developing a product like this to figure out that endpoint of an MVP because it's your baby. And you always have something else that you can make better before you show your baby to the public. And you got to figure out a time to cut that off. And unfortunately, I took a little too long, maybe. But we do have a product now that's more than a minimal viable product, and we're able to bring it to market and try to hopefully gain traction and still make changes.
So 2 years of going through this process, how many times did you want to quit? Or how many times did you feel like, you know what, this is never going to work, it's going to fail? Those thoughts ever in your mind?
I never wanted to quit. Did I often think that maybe I was running down a rabbit hole? Totally. And what I mean by a rabbit hole meaning is like so sidetracked thinking of other things instead of getting back to the minimal viable product of what we really needed. Like what was our
core?
Our core was like to connect service providers. Should I have just went over a certain niche of a provider and kept it so small and tight and just blown up that little niche? You know, and unfortunately I decided to go bigger, and now we're actually pulling it back. You know, we went from this to this, and now we're pulling it back from 1,600 categories to 84. Pivot, change, cry, keep going.
All the joys of being an entrepreneur, right?
Right. So I was very fortunate to have Drew in my life, and then actually Drew was willing to hang out and get into the doo-doo with me. And so what do you think, Drew? What's the learning lesson of today a little bit?
There's a lot. I mean, today we actually had a good meeting with a possible marketing manager.
Yeah. I like everybody, just so you know. I have this emotional heartstring thing. I'm a Cancer. I'm a father figure. I'm a lover. I have emotional connection. And Drew here, he drops the hammer.
Quite the opposite.
Drew drops the hammer.
Straight up guy from Queens, New York. To me, tell me what's going to happen. How you going to do it? I don't want to hear the sob stories.
So, yep, I like the sob stories. I get connected, and next thing I know, like, you know, anyways. So I like the marketing guy today. I you know what? Here's the problem. If you guys hear dings and bings in the background, guess what? We are in a startup right now, and there are questions. And this is a startup studio.
Where are we? This is
my house. If you guys over here over Drew's corner, you'll see the yellow cow suit. Yep, we got Peppa Pig wearing a cow head. This is Service Herd Studio. Straight.
Might be a dog that comes through here in a second.
Yeah, Bernie's Mountain Dog. You guys into dogs?
Maybe a wife.
Maybe a wife, kid crying.
Yeah.
It's carpool right now. Back to the marketing guy.
Yeah.
Hey, how many times do I get my ball rolling and it rolls and I'm so excited, and then guess what? The ball doesn't move again.
Yeah.
Email campaigns, text. Here's the deal, guys. If you're a creator, if you have an imaginary mind and you like doing stuff, I find myself that I like to do that. The problem is that most of the time you're probably ADD also, or ADT, or ADD. I was never diagnosed, I guess, but here's the deal. You roll the ball a little bit, you get so excited and you get something rolling, and then that ball sits over here because you kind of think it's going to roll by itself, and it doesn't. And then you do the same thing over here, and you get the ball rolling. My computer's going nuts. You get the ball rolling over here, right? Okay, so here's your email campaigns, and you do the first email. And the ball, you think it's going to like finish itself. And you do the same thing with text messages. Oh, and guess what? You start Instagram posts. And you start these posts. And then guess what? You go 2 weeks without a post. So we met a guy today who's going to be my babysitter and your babysitter. He's going to babysit the fact of getting things to execution and making sure that we're resonating with our people the best we can.
And that's going to be feedback from our audience or
whoever's
watching this.
Yeah, we need to know from you guys. Like, right now, it's just my mom and my wife and Drew's wife that are watching. So, but as soon as there's more people watching, we need to know. Hey, what do you guys want? You know, what's going to resonate with you? What's going to resonate with your friends? What can we do that on this platform to make you realize that, hey, you know, I need that. I really need it if you do this, and let us know. Yeah, we'll do it, man. We're
you can email us. You can call us. You can
call us.
Yeah.
Well, I'll put my phone number over there in a second. Text me. Give me a text. Shoot me an email. Randy@serviceherd.com. Super easy.
Just no illicit pictures, please.
Well, I'm okay with those. You want to send them. Marketing guy today. Hey, guess what? Tomorrow, 2 o'clock meeting. Get YouTube done, because we want to put all this stuff on YouTube so we can, hey, maybe somebody wants to watch this sooner or later.
So, yeah, so we're 20 minutes in. So let's tell them, so you're CEO.
Chief Excitement Officer.
I'm CFO.
CFO. Chief.
Whatever that means.
Fund
Chief,
Officer.
Don't waste money anymore, officer. How about that?
Yeah, he's trying to pull me off of Fiverr. I love me some Fiverr.
We've been working on some marketing, a marketing person for quite some time.
Yep. So now we got two.
Now we got two, yes. And we decided to outsource that, not hire.
We are contractually obligated, which means we are on a month-to-month basis, and we are not stuck with anybody for too long. And so we'll be able to measure exactly what they're doing with our Facebook ads. We'll be able to see our engagement with our Instagram posts. We're gonna be able to get all these good things lined up, set up, and kind of like a set it and forget it.
Yep, and we are.
We also have a CTO. He's
CTO.
Like I said, Brandon. He's been with us for about over a year. He's been with me. It was great because he was able to come in and put this like dog leash on me because I wanted, I want that. My Indians' heads were spinning. Brandon's head was spinning. Brandon finally told me, hey, you tell me what you want. I'll tell you if you can have it or not. And that happened about a year ago, and it's become a lot more smooth sailing. And then we've got Nathan who's going to run some sales stuff. So we'll see what happens. We're gonna hit the ground and grind it out with Nathan doing some sales stuff and all of us. So
and we're also at a point now where we're actually working with consulting firms too.
Yes.
So,
North Star,
yeah.
North Star Partners. Shout out. We're excited. We're gonna see what some strategies are for us to actually raise some early money here. Not a lot, just enough to keep the wheels going.
Lights on.
Huh?
Keep the lights on.
Keep the lights on. We don't need Ferraris and Lamborghinis or those weird dance clubs people go to. But we do need a lot of good marketing, a lot of good strategy, a lot of good advice, and a lot of huge feedback from you guys. So 2 marketing teams. We've got a consultant team. We've got an app development team that's in India. We've got a regular development team, which is India. We've just switched over our design team, which is in India also. It was in Serbia. So hey, we're kind of a real business. We just don't make any money. We just don't make any money. So if we had this all and there was revenue, booyah. So that's the goal.
And that's why you should listen to us, because you're going to learn firsthand how we're going to take this, whatever this is.
Whatever you want to call this.
Yeah, and actually make it income producing. Generate revenue.
Dude, how cool.
Get it to market.
When we're making money and we're hanging with you guys and you guys are like, you did it and you helped us do it too.
And we're gonna tell you our secrets. I mean, not a secret. You're gonna see what we're doing.
We're gonna tell you exactly what's happening.
Tell you exactly what we're doing.
And hopefully we'll take some steps back through some of these and go through some journeys that were kind of fun throughout this. But we also want to just stay with what we're doing right now, because every day is an adventure. Every day is something new. We have a little meeting every day, Chicago or Atlanta or a Million Cups meeting or a phone call. And so it's hey, it's going to get much better listening to us. We hope to entertain you for just 20, 30 minutes and also hopefully immerse you in our story and help you with any problems you might have if you are dealing with some of the stuff we are. Kids, life, family, business.
Where are they going to leave us feedback? Are they going to call us? They're going to email us? They're going to text us? They're going to.
You can find us
YouTube video. This is going to be on YouTube, right?
We're going to have YouTube. If you Google Service Herd, you should be able to find a bunch of different avenues. But Randy at Service Herd, Drew at ServiceHerd.com. If you would like to text message me, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. Can you see that? How about this? We'll just go nice and slow. 3, 2, 1. Area code 3, 2, 1 356 5546. 321 356 5546. Don't send me a bunch of spam, but send me a bunch of feedback.
Yep.
And we look forward to seeing you in the herd.
Moo.
Moo.
It's supposed to be a cow.
Moo. Later.